Now, this particular video is in regards to nursing homes and some of the negative consequences of placing your elderly people in your family in these institutions, and what the direct result of that can be. And it hits home with me personally because I have my grandmother that I love very much. She helped raise me as a young man when I was going through my own issues with when my mother and my real dad was going through divorce. And to be honest with you, I've seen this in my own personal life where families now, I mean, the family unit has been torn apart and destroyed to the point where nobody even feels like they have the responsibility, or they should assume the task of taking care of their elderly and aging parents. I mean, my parents from the boomer generation, my grandmother, she's 90 years old this year, but she's in one of these homes. She has five daughters and one boy, and most of them are as far as financial and economic goes, are pretty well off. They have enough money at their disposal that they could no problem take care of my grandma. But they won't. None of them seem to be willing to attempt to make that a priority in their life. Meanwhile, she was the one. My grandmother left her husband, my grandfather, when she was young because he used to beat the shit out of my uncle, and allegedly did some pretty appropriate things with the girls too. Was not a good person from what I gather. I don't know this personally because I didn't know the man very well growing up, to be honest with you, because of when I was growing up, they were already separated and I didn't have much of a relationship with him. So that's speculative as far as that goes. But either way, if the case is that he did what he was accused of doing, and she chose to leave with five daughters and a boy, and this was back, when there wasn't as many guaranteed programs to help single women, right? She had to go through some pretty harsh stuff in her life, and to raise those five girls and one boy, it couldn't have been easy, but she did it the best way she could, only to find out now in her last remaining years that the very people she chose to raise, to love, to nurture, have seemingly turned their back on her. That's rough. So now she's stuck in a home. I mean, if I was close by, of course I would take care of her. But unfortunately, and due to my own circumstances, I don't even have the opportunity or the ability to help her. And I wish I could. But, anyways, moving past that. Class action accuses one of Canada's biggest nursing home companies of neglecting residents. But basically what it comes down to is, before I even get in this article, if you place the care of your elderly parents or relatives in the hands of complete strangers that are doing that mostly, even though some of them might be compassionate, but for predominantly they're doing it as a means to an end, for a paycheck. And because of government bureaucracy and the way the state is propagated, these are not people that are going to have that kind of care and compassion that a genuine family member who truly loves their elders or the elderly person that they are seeking to care for, that they're not even close to being on the same level. So you're going to hear of a lot more of these instances, especially now. My biggest thing too is it's going to become, I think, now this is just a speculation, but I believe that to be, and I think the evidence is fairly prudent to suggest that the boomers, which are the ones that treat, at least people from my grandmother's generation, they tried to do what was right. They tried to be pretty good people. The boomers are so far from removed from even doing that. It's wait till the boomer fucking cohorts are in this position. Like I say, this destruction of the family, of the nuclear family, of promoting family values, it's going to have massive, it's already, but in the future it's only going to continue to get worse unless things start to change dramatically. Where the elderly people are going to, especially once the boomers come to be in that demographic of the most elderly among us. Yeah, I can't even imagine because each case is going to be played out for countless millions of people in Canada, millions in the US, the UK, all over the world. This is going to play out. And like I say, wow, it's not going to be a good scenario for anybody. Which is why we need to get rid of this concept of using government's force, you know, mysticism, collectivism as a means to an end. We got to get back to, family, proper values, proper morals, proper ethics, proper principles. You know, if you think about it in a family setting without government, even if you don't like your kids or your kids do things you don't like, if you recognize and realize that they're the ones that ultimately are going to be the ones that have to take care of you in your elder years, no matter what, you're going to try to treat them at least somewhat reasonable. Because if you don't, you're shooting yourself in the own foot. Government has taken that concept out of the equation. So people think that families, husbands and wives, sons and daughters, mothers and fathers, they feel, or employees, employers, even if you get into not even family settings, but feel like they can treat each other like fucking garbage and shit all the time because they don't have to deal with each other if they don't want to. They can use the state as a surrogate, right? That's the ultimate problem. People won't do. It's not like a person, a parent. You don't have to force them to be good people. They'll do it on their own if it means that it's the only way that they'll benefit in the long run. That's just the truth of the matter. I don't know what else needs to be said. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to really read into this article because these individual stories I find quite depressing, and it doesn't really do nothing to add to the equation. It's just a particular individual story. But yes, the truth of the matter is you shouldn't be using government institutions or entities to pawn off the care of your elderly family members. You should be taking and assuming that responsibility on yourself. It's Canadian Libertarian, and I love liberty.